This is a major milestone in the word history. And there's a couple reasons why.
Do tell.
First, we are recording 2 weeks in a row for the first time in over a year, I think.
I saw on Wikipedia it was first time since the Truman administration, but I don't know if that's fully accurate.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna have to get a fact checker to edit that Wikipedia article. So, because we need to set the record straight with that. First time recording two shows in a row. Second show on Spreaker, also broadcasting live on Spreaker, and then that episode will be available on YouTube. And another milestone I want to just throw out there. First show, I was going to say, well, second or first show, as we have laid to rest what the name of the podcast is. We're keeping it as it is.
I love that decision.
Oh, I mean, I think that you spoke some sense into me last week. It's just we'd have to change everything around and the logos and.
We're staying together for the kids, basically.
Yes, exactly. They're just so used to things and who drives who to practice. Let's just, let's do it for them. When they get out, when they go to school, we'll go our separate ways. They'll understand. They'll be old enough by then. Not that I know anything about that. So we're back with the word. It's 6/27/17 episode. James Mundia alongside Richard Bruce Farrell Abernathy.
Oh,
yeah,
that makes me happy.
See, part of why I do these is I just know you're ready. You're just like you got the whip ready to crack right after. So it's like I'm just testing you. This is okay. So you passed that one. We've got a jam-packed show. We got a lot to talk about here. We got a lot of chitter chatter back and forth on the show planning board. Shout out to Trello. I live my life through Trello. We got the show planning board going back and forth. We got a lot to cover here. A lot
going on in the world, James.
There's a lot going on in the world. A lot of it that's really important that we probably won't touch on, just because someone's already taken care of that.
We like to keep it light.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I try to avoid the news, but we have these things in my building at work. The screens Captivate, I think is what they're called. The screens with like news stories and stocks and stuff. Do you have those at your building?
We have a bunch of TVs around that are on various channels.
That's right. You work in television. That would make a lot of sense.
Allegedly.
See, that's the thing. See, I can sort of stay away from the news. And I still have a hard time. But you're like surrounded by it. You're working in it in a way.
In a way, yes. I have to be cognizant of what's going on in the world.
I think that works. That works for me. I'm staying out of that for now.
I wish I could. It's a scary place.
It's terrifying. So we've got, the thing about the show today, everything ties in together to a certain degree. And not just because we happen to be the two people talking about it at this very moment in time. Because we'll start off with, we always kind of lead with sports news and stuff is our deal here. And we got to start with the NBA draft. We discussed it a little bit. I forget what the bold predictions were that you had. Did we have bold predictions about the draft, or did we have bold predictions about the about MVP? I think that was what it was. I guess.
Well, my bold prediction was kind of true.
What was
I had a draft bold prediction. It was kind of a cop out and vague, but just that something nuts was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened with Jimmy Butler going to the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah,
in an atrocious trade.
Well, how does that go down? Not to invoke Bill Simmons like everybody who has a amateur sports podcast does, but there has to be some kind of like director of common sense or whatever it is that he dubbed it that's looking at that and saying, I don't know about that one.
If not, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. Um, I don't know if Tibbs took Gar Forman out and got him drunk last Wednesday and got him to agree to the deal. And the fun, we'll get into the deal more here in a second. But the funniest thing, and you brought up the MVP, but the NBA award show was last night, and they revealed a bunch of awards and some votes early in the day. Gar Forman got an Executive of the Year vote from someone.
No.
I mean, you can't write it. It's incredible. Maybe he got it from Tibbs. I don't know.
Jeez. Yeah, that one was a little bit eye-opening. The trade, that is.
Yeah. I mean, and there's always some. You can never really get full compensation for a star player. It's very rare.
Okay.
In part because if you have one guy who's incredibly valuable, let's say he's 100, and you get four 25s, just in theory of what the value is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In theory, that's full value, but you have to take up 4 roster spots to get the same value, in essence.
Right.
So it's hard to truly get a really solid return. It's happened a few times, and they got a young player in Chris Dunn. Another young player, well, an even younger player, Zach LaVine. Chris Dunn's like 24 almost, I think, and got the 7th pick in the draft, which they used on Lauri Markkanen, which I didn't agree with, which was part of. If they had done a little better with the 7th pick, I could have maybe seen that being the trade. But then for some reason, they throw in the 16th pick to Minnesota also. Like, I didn't like the trade anyway, and then when I realized there was a pick swap, it just made 0 sense.
Right.
And I just don't know what these teams are thinking. And I mean, if that's all. And it's easy to sit here and judge. You don't know what the other offers are, and I mean, clearly that's a franchise that needs to kind of blow it up and restart. But I think it needs to go far beyond the roster. They just that just seems like a franchise that has fallen so far from where they used to be. I mean, they were the model franchise for an entire decade. And now, I mean, they were in it seems like 5 years ago that they were up 2-0 on the Celtics in the first round.
Richard Bruce Legler Abernathy breaking down NBA draft news, NBA trade news. I texted you when this happened. I know exactly where I was. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but I remember okay, yep. We've got the dynamic duo from the Clippers deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to opt out. Oh, I'm going to opt out as well.
Well, that was always going to be the case.
I didn't
just the financials of it.
Yeah.
To get the extension and get more money this year and beyond. I mean, Chris Paul, who's the president of the Players Association, basically created a rule for himself. I mean, it should be called the Chris Paul rule, and he can't take, advantage of it yet.
Okay.
But it has to do with you're a certain age and tenure in the NBA, and it's kind of like almost like a supermax deal where it goes up even more. But he can't get to that for a couple more years, so it makes sense for him to opt out of his contract now, make a lot more now, and then be in position to make even more after that.
Chris Paul is kind of on his Frank Underwood House of Cards working the system here.
Well, I mean, I think he was looking out for everybody. It just so happens that he is also able to take advantage of it. But I mean, those guys were always going to opt out, even if they decided to stay, just because it obviously gives them more leverage, gives them more options, and in some cases, it helps the team a little bit. That based on the way the cap works with some of the machinations of it, or the order of operations, kind of like you're back in 5th grade worrying about PEMDAS.
Yeah, I
sort
was
of
gonna
same.
say I want you to draw up a PEMDAS for me for how the cap works.
I mean, they're going through it in Boston right now, where they're trying to get Paul George and Hayward, or Hayward and Blake Griffin. But depending on your cap situation and different salary cap holds and different things, sometimes you have to sign a player first and then trade for the other player. Because if you trade for a player, then you don't have enough room left to sign the player. But if you've already signed a player and trade for a player and bring him into your cap, you can go further over than you can by signing a player. It's a weird, it's a very it's a very complex system. A lot of a lot of ifs, a lot of what have yous, to quote the dude. Um, and but it's fascinating to watch all this behind the scenes movement, and all, the thousands of rumors being floated, and
Yeah.
this time of year. I mean, more so with the draft. And I forget who actually initially said the quote, but it was a coach or a front office exec, and he said, "This time of year, if you see my lips moving, there's a good chance I'm lying." And we saw that with the draft, with a lot of things got floated, not a lot of things happened. But come July 1st, I mean, there could be a lot of movement, and I'm curious to see which teams kind of go all in and which teams maybe decide, hey, we're not winning a title the next 3 or 4 years anyway, so screw it, let's blow this thing up.
I was telling someone the other day. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just telling someone the other day that getting that kind of knowledge, seeing all this happen, as someone who doesn't watch the regular season, I mean, I find this quite entertaining. But in a way that does kind of draw me into the game a little bit more, just to see how things will work out. But just the, as you said, the complexity of how to get people where they want to be, where they need to be, where people want them. I mean, I find that's it's just kind of a little bit of a game changer, as we know on this show. I'm not a big sports fan. Can I even really say that with a straight face?
No, you can't. You are. You're in denial.
I'm in denial. Oh, that's actually very refreshing. Okay, so this is just all going to pass. It's all going to, okay, that's good. Well, the whole point being, I don't always keep up with it, but this has been a time of year, and that's what's good about having the show back on now, where there's a lot to go over, a lot to cover, and yeah, as you said, there could be a lot of movement.
Well, and I'm interested to see. Clearly, some teams are going to spend some money unwisely. We saw it last summer. I mean, it was a little different last summer with the cap, with the huge jump in the cap, and people were just throwing money around. And I mean, on contracts that were indefensible at the time and look even worse now. I mean, the Lakers had to get rid of D'Angelo Russell to unload the terrible Mozgov contract. And I mean, there's always going to be a few drunken sailors out there, throwing money around. But much like we talked about last week with this idea of rest, whether it's for individual players, maybe throwing away some games in the playoffs and living to fight another day. I feel, and maybe this is just the sports culture now, where everything is so title dependent, and it's like nothing else. We've crafted these narratives, and I hate using that word narrative sometimes, but I think in this case it's accurate, where the discourse is all about, yeah, well, you didn't win a title. It's like excellence without a championship is meaningless to so many people now. And I feel like that kind of started from a media and or fan perspective. And in some cases, it's sort of seeped into some front offices where, at least I think it has. And I'm curious to see if teams are really going to take an approach of not necessarily inaction, but more long range planning. And like, Atlanta getting rid of Dwight Howard, seems like they might not bring back Paul Millsap. And I understand there's something to be said for the worst place in the NBA, especially, but in sports in general, to be is in the middle. You're not really good enough to compete. You're not really bad enough to bottom out and get a star player.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want to be is a 7th or 8th seed every year. So that is my life as a Charlotte Hornets fan. So I know, but they're and everybody's situation is different. But they were so hell bent on making the playoffs and having some legitimacy for fan purposes, for just the culture. And you don't want to just have like that losing culture where it's okay to lose. But you also don't want to just stupidly chase after something and throw money at something when you know the end result before you even do it. So I'm curious to see that balance of which teams are going to be aggressive and try to build something for now, and which teams maybe try to, sit on some money, ride out the next couple of years, and put themselves in position to make a move.
Richard Bruce Klosterman Abernathy sharing some paragraphs from his upcoming column. Oh, we do have a blog. I guess we can. Okay, good. So that was only half facetious. Yes, sharing some paragraphs from his upcoming column on the shift in thinking. I love what you said there. Excellence doesn't mean anything without a championship. That's such a. And I was funny. I was going to ask you if that was an NBA only thing, but it has to be. Like I look at, I love the NFL because it is so bite sized, or you can take it in little bite sized morsels. And I just love this about football in general. The idea of the process, right? That's Nick Saban's thing. The only way we're going to get there is, by doing things right every single day, doing it better every single day. Yes, you need the horses in the stable, but you're exactly right. In the NBA, it's like we have to win a title this year or bust. Some of these teams chasing after people and the contracts that you talked about that are miserable. I mean, that is, like I said, well, people are going to be looking forward to your column. It's going to be I'm going to go ahead and sign you up for a weekly column on the website. And, on spec, of course, until we get some advertising money. And, okay, there we go. We're kind of knocking out a couple birds with one stone here.
I like it. And you brought up a good point. And I think that attitude is unique to basketball because when was the last time you remember a team winning the title that going into the season wasn't one of the 4 or 5 teams people talked about winning the title?
I mean, this is another column. I mean,
it's rare. It's rare.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically the Warriors a couple of years ago, but before that was maybe the Pistons in 2004, and even then they were going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, baseball, football, hockey, it seems there's a much greater year-to-year variance in championship caliber teams or teams playing for a championship. NFL, you see worst to first, winning division, going to the playoffs all the time.
Yeah.
And then at that point, single elimination, anything can happen. Baseball, you get in or you make a deadline deal and you get a couple of pitchers that get hot and you can ride that to the World Series and have a chance to win. Hockey, goalie gets hot, it seems like there's a lot more. I don't want to say randomness is not the proper word, but there can be a lot more competitive swings.
Yeah.
Whereas the NBA, and I was talking about this with someone at work today, we kind of had a super teams discussion briefly, and you just don't see that a lot. It's going into the year who the good teams are going to be, and 75% of the time that's who's playing in the conference finals or the finals. There's not a lot of upheaval, not a lot of change, and in some ways that's a beautiful thing because you can watch it. I mean, you can see some excellent basketball, and it's a beautiful thing to watch when you see a team that plays together and the pieces fit and you can tell that they get along and They complement each other so well on the court. It could really be a beautiful thing to watch. And people complain that it's boring. I disagree, and I think the math disagrees when you look at the ratings and you look at how people respond to it. That I would much rather see a couple of teams that are far above everybody else and are dominating the competition, and it comes down to them, than a bunch of mediocre, parody-filled basketball.
Column is coming out this week on thewordpodcast.blogspot.com by Richard Bruce Kornheiser Abernathy. The parody problem. Is the NBA getting stagnant? Look for it this week, thewordpodcast.blogspot.com. Boy, we really got to sew up the copyright on that URL. I don't know about this .blogspot.com thing. But anyway, I agree with what you're saying. Like you said, people are still watching it. They're going to keep watching it. I mean, even if it's just super teams. But yeah, in the other sports, that parody is just baked in. It's talk about a dynamic. Maybe not even one that they're going to have to manage, right? If the ratings stay okay, players stay out of trouble. At this point, they kind of got a good thing going for them here. I mean, they've really tightened the ship. I think. I mean, not that it was just completely, off kilter, but it just kind of seems like they've got it under control now, and and I guess in that respect they do have that leg up on the NFL, where it seems like there's always a bomb about to explode in the NFL. Maybe that's not the best analogy. There's always like a big scoop, that's just around the corner, and the concussion movie, and they were getting all wrapped up in that, and there's still some skeletons there. Whereas with the NBA, they're almost in like back in the Jordan era. It's very Hollywood. It's still relatively accessible. I mean, from a TV perspective, it's marketable, and not that the NFL is not marketable, but I think that is one little a leg up. But we'll have to see
I think some of that has to do with the leadership of the NBA and how good it is.
Yeah.
And this is not meant to denigrate the NFL or Roger Goodell or any of that, but just for a long time, the NBA has really been a model of how you run a professional sports league, especially in 2017, the way they are with social media, the way they are with even, I don't want to say they're politics, even though I guess technically that's what it is, but at the Pride Rally in New York, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, front and center, with the an NBA logo with the rainbow flag, and it was just to see how they handle their business on the court, off the court, allowing clips posted on social media it's a brilliant thing, because a lot of leagues, the NFL being one of them, are very rule with an iron fist when it comes to using their content online, even if it's just a fan on Twitter posting, a play or a picture or something that they got their hands on, sharing that, they have to take it down. Mm-hmm. NBA doesn't care. Mm-hmm. And it's brilliant because they're letting fans and people who love the product share that and disseminate that out and get that out to a wider audience for them for free. And as long as it's not being used in such a way that it runs contrary to what they think is best for the league, and obviously if someone's profiting off of it, that's probably not going to go well. Or if it's posted in out of context or with remarks or other things that maybe don't fit their image or what they believe in, that might be a problem. But as long as it's just a fan sharing like, holy crap, look at this dunk, it seems like they've been perfectly fine letting that go. And I think that's a thing that other leagues, other companies outside of sports, I think that's something that, to a certain level, they can learn from and maybe need to change their strategy and how they view social media, the internet, and disseminating their product and what they have to a wider audience.
In addition to yeah, it's really, really bad at soccer. I mean, that's the only social media sports that I really ever do, and that's very rare. And it's like they have whole campaigns like you're cheating the fans if you post, a clip of a goal that you really liked. I mean, they just go insane on these. I mean, and I guess it's the TV rights and all that, but the NBA has a very intense TV deal. But
Yeah.
it's absolutely nuts in the soccer where you can't see anything. I mean, it's not for long. I mean, anything
Yeah.
new and old stuff there, they kind of let that go. But
And I understand. I mean, and illegal streams and stuff like that. I get it. I get the legal nature, and you have to try to shut that down. But if somebody's just posting a GIF or a quick clip of look at this dunk, look at this pass, the more that you can get out there and on people's timelines for them even just to stumble across it's going to be good in the long run.
you can also catch Professor Richard Bruce Eisenhower Abernathy teaching his media studies course at what university is near Jacksonville?
You have the University of North Florida, you have Jacksonville University, or you have the School of Hard Knocks also.
Oh, I think that's where your course is being taught. Media studies.
No, I was too soft. They wouldn't let me in.
They wouldn't give him tenure at School of Hard Knocks. Just got his undergraduate degree.
It goes against the very nature of the School of Hard Knocks to provide tenure.
So we in addition to covering the draft, we have to kind of tie this. Oh, sorry. Did you have another?
Well, just real quick on other than the Butler trade, we didn't get into the draft too much. I don't want to get too specific or get bogged down. We need to kind of move on, but
yeah.
It seems like it gets a little. I mean, I still love the draft. I obsess over it. I'm on Draft Express. I'm in a big fantasy NBA league that we have a rookie draft the night before the NBA draft.
Wow.
So it's a big part of my summer every year, and it's one of my favorite times of year. But the actual broadcast just seems to lose a little bit more and more as we go. And I honestly like. Some of it is the spoiling picks online and knowing what happens. That doesn't bother me so much because you just find out there instead of fearing it for Adam's over. So the reveal is the same. Mm-hmm. I just think it's more in the internet age that we know more. Like there are less surprises because there's so much information out there, and you can still decisions can happen, trades can happen, things can come down. But I would say more and more, we have a pretty good idea of, okay, they're going to take this guy or that guy. Or if this team takes that guy in front of them, then they're going to take this guy. So it's a little less exciting from a shock, I had no idea that was going to happen type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I still love it, and it's still great. And I wish it was 3 rounds. I wish there was more.
Yeah, in the age of the internet, right, where you're not getting all of your intel from the studio crew, at least on draft day. Like, how do they spice that up? Because they're not going anywhere with it. Like, do they just keep it as it is? Do they? Because I tried to bring myself to watch it, and I was like, the problem with me with the draft is the time in between the picks. Like that, I can't do that, and especially now, like I don't like watching studio sports shows. I mean, except for maybe Inside the NBA when it just happens to be on with sound. And sometimes even without sound, it's still great. But when you look at the something like the draft, like how do you fix that? Because I mean, ESPN's already having trouble keeping people watching anyway. They're firing people left and right. Like, is there a way to get around that?
Well, they fixed part of their problem. They're bringing in Woj.
Oh.
If you can't beat them, have them join you, I guess.
Right. Okay.
So fewer Woj bombs. Get a couple picks ahead, and it. To me though, like it doesn't bother me that much. Seeing it on Twitter. First of all, if you really want to avoid it, you can avoid it.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't change the experience for me. But instead of hearing, Adam Silver or Roger Goodell say, with the 14th pick, this team takes this guy, I see a tweet on my phone that tells me that.
Right.
Well, like it doesn't really change. Um, so it it to me, it's more of a second screen part of the experience, and it enhances it. Then maybe I know, and it does lead to some unintentional comedy, like when you know who the pick is, and then they set it up, and the whoever's doing the draft tries to be like, are they going to take the point guard or the center? Let's go find out. And you already know. Or and I love and my one beef with the NBA draft, the one thing I don't like. Well, I shouldn't say one. There might be more than one, but my main gripe with the draft is that teams can't trade the picks. That you have to draft the player and then consummate the trade after. And I learned a little more about that this year. That I think at 2 p.m. the day of the draft, 2 p.m. Eastern, the board locks. So up until 2 p.m. you can actually trade draft picks, but after that, then it has to stay. So it's not like the NFL where somebody's moving up. Who are they going to take? It's we're going to take this guy and make him put on a Bucks hat, even though we knew an hour ago that they were going to trade this pick to Minnesota,
Right.
and they picked 10 picks after. So we have to pretend for an hour and a half that he's going to the Bucks, and when we all know that he's not. It's just a pain in the ass, really. And then you get the worst part is when they come on and then announce a trade later, and you've kind of forgotten. It's like, all right, we'd like to announce a trade. You're like, oh, what is this? What is this? And then it's a trade you knew about 2 hours ago, but they just finally made both picks and can announce it. And it's just such a buzzkill.
Right. Oh man, you're breaking it down. This is, I mean, as we've said for years. I mean, can't we just run it? Just let us do it. We did a great job at the field hockey finals, NCAA, in 2005. For Fox Sports as production assistants. We can run the NBA draft for the league and for ESPN.
Listen, based on how we did at the ACC Field Hockey Championship circa 2007, I think we can handle it.
Wait, did we do two different events?
Well, I know. I remember working a couple of field hockey games with you.
Oh, I was talking about that championship. What did I say? Did I say 05 lacrosse?
Well, I did lacrosse separately. You did softball, didn't you?
I did softball as a PA announcer, but I did ACC Select, which was like the streaming video network. I did that for a lot of different sports, but only one time did I get to do commentary, and it was the semi-final round of no, it was the same year, so it was 2007 when you and I did the final, but the day before I'd been there doing color commentary for field hockey. Can you imagine? Like I would pay $500 for that tape. That's like, how do you even, you can tell someone that they're not going to believe you. But anyway.
Listen, first of all, shout out to Michael Crow. Speaking of
Michael Crow
of ACC Select, and who knows? Maybe if you put in a call to Michael, he can find that tape for you. You never know.
I didn't even think about that. I actually still know a lot of the guys that still work that, like Jason, Mike Crow. Oh God, what was the other guy's name? He was like the producer. Oh, there's Ken, obviously, who kind of ran the show. Anyway, but okay, yeah, you're right. The year that we did it together, the field hockey tournament, was 2007. And then that a couple of days before, I think the day before, I did the semis Mike Crow. I was Mike Crow's color guy. I mean, does it get as far as career? I peaked. I peaked in 2007.
Hey, I haven't peaked at all. So,
so we've got in addition to the draft, we obviously talked a lot about Lonzo Ball, where he would go. He didn't. No one was surprised, but I do want to talk about For me, something that I put on the board today, it's really been bugging me. This ties in Alonzo Ball, and congratulations to him. Obviously, congratulations to his family and his dad for shepherding this process, or at least being very vocal. I don't know who was actually shepherding it. I'm sure he has an agent. And it seemed like a big win for him, obviously, and he's already pimping his brand out. But everything is coming to a head for me now because I've been trying to avert my eyes from this for the last couple of weeks, and Lonzo Ball made me think about it a little bit. And this morning I get on Spotify, and they show you, hey, here's some new albums to check out, and it's always stuff you never want to check out. It's always something that's new, or it's or not new. A new album by someone you've heard of before and you don't like, or you're not interested in their new album, or it'll be someone you've never heard of, their new album, where their recording label paid a bunch of money to Spotify to get them on the front page. And one of these suggestions today was DJ Khaled's, I guess, is it a new album or single? I didn't click. Looks like it's an album. It's called Grateful. And the cover, at least on Spotify, probably of the album, is his kid in a very nice outdoor pool, posted up. It's a very well posed picture. It's a good file. But this and Lonzo Ball, it's taken me over the edge. I don't know what I can't stand more. Lonzo Ball, who's not a NBA prospect or former player even, kind of putting his kid out there and saying a lot of stuff, being very vocal. Again, I mean, he's gained my respect in some ways, and then you have Khaled, who just had a baby. This kid's probably not even a year old, and this kid is in everything. I mean, Khaled's got a very prolific Snapchat and social media game is all over the place. But this morning, this is how you can tell Richard Bruce O'Shaughnessy Abernathy is a brilliant executive producer, because I'm thinking to myself, I got to talk about this in the show today. And I'm just typing up notes in the board. I'm saying, what is up with these dadtrepreneurs? And I spelled it all out. I felt really proud of myself. And then an hour later, I get a reply from Richard. I prefer dadvertising. I mean, how can I compete with that? How do I don't even know why I even brought up dadtrepreneur on the show. I mean, dadvertising is, come on. How do I beat that?
Listen, this is how we work. You have the great idea, and I come up with the punny name. That's you set them up, I knock them down. That's how it works.
I think we should just do a whole show on that. I mean, just how you came up with that. But I don't. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, and I'm talking about the dadvertising, not the actual genesis of the word. And look, I'm going to start with Khaled. I don't know if it's like a social media thing, or it has to be in his case, because it used to be your kids were only in like paparazzi pictures if you went out shopping with them and you were a big star, or you did a spread in a newspaper or a magazine or a cover story. My new baby, blah, blah, blah. But his kid is everywhere. And I think DJ Khaled is unbelievable. His work ethic is beyond belief. He went from being a guy in Miami trying to make it in music, which is really like, that's everyone down there, or make it entertainment. And then he builds an empire, and he is a solar system. Everybody is just revolving around him, or I guess that's a sun. And I just don't understand this kid thing. It drives me insane. And it went from being like funny memes and like, oh yeah, it's funny, his kid's gonna be, but now is like, no, I'm embracing the meme. My kid is my album cover. And he was just born. That's just what he did. Am I reading too much into this? Is it irritating? Are you as exposed to this as I am? Maybe I'm just in weird internet circles.
I'm probably not exposed to it as much as you are, but even if I was, I don't really have a problem with it.
Oh.
I mean, it's nothing new. And especially if becoming a father was sort of the inspiration, the impetus for the album. And if that's sort of the theme of the album, then I especially don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Um, but we also live in a time where the pictures of everybody's kids are all over everything everywhere.
Yeah.
So whether it's your Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, background on your phone, stick figure decal on the back of your car so that people who don't know you know how many children you have. And that's a whole other conversation of some of the weird things that information people put out about themselves that I don't understand why. But that's just the way, and it sounds like a cop out and an excuse, but that's just kind of the way things are now. So, especially if that is an integral part of the theme of the album or the inspiration for it, I got no problem. And even if it's not, I don't know. I don't care. I got no problem with DJ Khaled. He pretty much just stands around and yells his name. Like,
right.
I mean, I'm oversimplifying, but I mean, he's just he seems like a fun guy. Like, he hasn't, to my knowledge, hasn't done anything controversial or mean, or it seems to be a decent dude. So if he wants to put his kid out there front and center, then so what?
I don't have a problem with him either. I just kid drives.
That's not what you wanted me to say.
No, it's not, but it's what I needed to hear. No, I just can't. The kid is everywhere. So I got a big picture of the album.
See, I have less of a problem with that, and I'm not. I mean, I'm anti LeVar Ball in the sense that he annoys me, and I just wish people would stop giving him a platform. Like, I don't think he's necessarily a bad person. He just kind of annoys me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a bigger problem with that because, I mean, Khaled he's the star. He's the guy. He's the talent. And he's bringing the kid in. He's bringing someone else into it. Whereas with LeVar, Lonzo is the talent, and he's bringing himself into that. So he's putting himself front and center, whereas Khaled's sort of shining some of the spotlight elsewhere and making it about his kid. So I feel like that's his right to be able to do that if he wants to, with that spotlight on him, if he wants to deflect a little of that somewhere else, then that's his right. But, you riding your kid's coattails and making it about you when it's not necessarily in your kid's best interest, that I don't have as much patience for.
Richard Bruce Melrose Abernathy. His rapping is you're right. And that's kind of why I went from the talking about Lonzo and the draft to the Dadvertising, is because that is what we see with LeVar Ball, and it just seems so weird to me. It's certainly more strange than the Khaled thing. The Khaled thing just annoys me. The LeVar Ball thing, it's and then I didn't look at this video. I just saw the articles online today. Now LeVar Ball made an appearance on Monday Night Raw last night, and made a whole scene. I didn't see. I can't even wrestling.
I know someone affiliated with that corner of the universe, and I was giving him a hard time yesterday when I found out that was happening. He just kind of shook it. He just kind of shook his head. Like, but before the kid started dropping N-bombs on live TV, even before that, I was like, "This is bad." And then once that happened, this person was just like, "Dude, I don't know what to tell you."
Wait, so someone that works like in production there?
Let's just say I know someone affiliated with that organization.
Oh, come on. Hey, actually...
Listen, for the 4 people listening to this podcast, and that might be an overestimation, I don't want to blow up anybody's spot or get anybody in trouble. So
that's true. We have to be careful of stuff like that.
It was just more of a question, and this person was like, look, he's like, I told the people I work with I didn't think it was a good idea. But it's WWE. Like, it's a perfect fit for him. Like, that was the logical next step for LeVar. And even that, like, I mean, it was harmless.
Oh
I mean,
God.
I'm not much for racial epithets being said on live television in any circumstance. But that aside, like the whole appearance and all that was, I mean, harmless fun and silly WWE stuff. I mean, who really cares? I'm not getting riled up about that. And really, like LeVar in general, like I don't really care. Like he hasn't done anything bad. It's just annoying and. It's just it just feels like he's trying to parlay his son into you know business for himself or the family or whatever. And look, that's his right. If if that's how they want to do it and that's what they want to be associated with and that's how they want to handle things, and more power to them. That's their deal. uh that's not how I would want to go about it, and I don't like him being you know front and center all the time. And then what really gets me is the uproar and the, oh my gosh, can you believe it? And then they go and interview him. Like it's like, well, which is it? Like, do you want to put this guy out in front and center so he can do stuff so that people will watch, or do you want to, sit up in your ivory tower and complain about this guy? Like you can't have it both ways. That I just wish people would sort of let him alone, and whatever he wants to do to make an ass of himself, let him do it. But it's just growing a little tiresome.
See, but that's how I feel about Khaled. Not exactly the same way, but I feel like it is not bad. It is just yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm a little irritated by it. But I will say, to get to your
I mean,
point,
do you think it's manipulative?
no, absolutely not. No.
See, that to me is the difference.
Okay. Okay.
Is that I feel like, and while it probably doesn't affect Lonzo, I mean, he went number 2 in the NBA draft and looks like he could be an all-star for years to come. I mean, things are going okay for him so far.
Hmm.
And by all measures, last year at UCLA, like, and we talked a little about this last week, but I don't foresee LeVar being an issue for the Lakers or Lonzo's career or any of that. Like that to me is okay. I worry more about the other two kids and how they're going to develop and react and will be treated moving up,
Mm.
because they're in a much more they're at a much greater risk to have that negatively influence them than Lonzo is. Um, I mean, the youngest kid's a sophomore in high school. I mean, he had a bad game and it became an internet meme, and people were trashing the kid and killing the kid for having a bad game because they don't like his dad.
Yeah.
That to me is the danger, is by making himself the lightning rod for all this stuff, that there's a trickle down effect to the other kids, to LiAngelo and LaMelo. That to me is the bad part, or potentially bad part, and that's why I don't like it. And I mean, if no one was paying attention to his sons and they weren't getting college looks, and he was trying to forge opportunities for them that would not be available otherwise, I would totally understand it. Which is why some of his behavior up till now I can write off and I can be okay with, because he's just trying to get his kids on the map. He's trying to make the Ball name a household name. But that's been accomplished. Like their older brother's the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. Like the other kids are going to UCLA next year. Like people know who they are and they're going to have opportunities. They're going to be fine. You've done your job. Get the hell out of the way. That's how I feel about it. If he doesn't want to, then he can keep doing his thing. That's fine. Be yourself. But that's where it's wearing thin and growing tiresome for me, is that there's really not a need for it, I don't think.
Richard Bruce Shap Abernathy breaking it down for us here. Are we on The Word or are we on Sports Reporters? What's going on here?
Well, Sports Reporters is no more, so
Oh God, I know. That's my buddy texted me about that. That's rough.
it's sad. It's a new era, James.
Yeah, we are the new era. We are the new era. Podcast about DJ Khaled's kid, that and LeVar Ball. That is, they should just give us a Sunday morning slot. We should just. In fact, I'm just gonna get an apartment in Bristol. It's only a matter of a couple of days before they offer us, so we're good.
Yeah.
Well,
I will say, I did just have the thought: which is worse, DJ Khaled putting his kid everywhere, or the two of us spending however much time we just spent breaking down how he is with his kid on a podcast. Like that might be even worse. Like just the I don't know. I try to be self-aware. So
Yeah, one of us has to. That's a good point. In 25 years, he could stumble across a recording of this and be like, "They were talking about me when I was 8 months old." So this episode is dedicated to you, Assad Tuck Khaled, who executive produced the album actually, and the album is called Grateful. So you're right. It's obviously kind of more than just about putting a kid on the cover. He's grateful for the kid. The kid executive produced the album, which, I'm not even going to touch that one. I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole.
Prodigy.
Yeah, clearly. Oh, my
Hey, and listen, I'll say this. If his kid ever listens to this podcast, then something is going right, either really right for us or really bad.
Okay, that's going to be, I'm putting that in the bucket list. We do keep a bucket list on the show here. I'm going to go ahead and scroll over to that one. We have a guest bucket list. I'm going to put listener bucket list. Assad Khaled. How am I spelling this name? I'm going to just do the best I can. Anyway, that's on the board. We, no, you're right. It's. Well, I still, we're both irritated about different things here, but Dadvertising has been born. So we'll always have the hashtag Dadvertising on the show when something with Khaled or with LeVar Ball or whoever the next big sports or music prodigy is that is being pimped out by their father. So, okay, I do want to get into another thing. We touched on this last week because we wanted to talk a little bit about TV here, but we had the Veep finale.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, good. All right, that's fine. We don't need to cover it.
Behind. We'll have to float that.
Yeah, we'll tease. We'll tease for next week. People are binging anyway. They don't all watch at the same time. But we touched a little bit about HBO.
Speaking of binging.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah. I'm like one step behind you. You're like 2 steps ahead. At the same time,
listen, I'm like Shane Battier. I see the play developing a little faster than some other people. Shout out Battier.
Oh,
love that guy.
Man,
love that guy.
One of the good guys.
I have a confession to make.
Oh,
James.
Whoa.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Yeah. We talked about this last week. I'm very proud of you for admitting it in public. I didn't realize.
Is that the first step of solving your problem? Is admitting that you have a problem?
It's the first step towards getting yourself ready to binge by at least admitting publicly to people that you're like, all right, I don't watch the show. Because you can pretend. You can always pretend. I pretended before. I faked it. But
you faked?
I faked it. Yeah, we had tickets to a great show, and I just wanted to get some sleep already.
Did you ever fake with me? Such a great Seinfeld episode. I love that one.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Fake.
Oh man.
And I tried. I tried. I watched the first episode.
Wow.
I don't know, like a year ago. Maybe?
Oh, I didn't even know that. This is crazy.
And it just didn't grab me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of it is the daunting nature of what this will be season 6, 7.
This is season 7 starting in July.
Yeah, so I have like 60 hours of Game of Thrones to watch.
Yeah, don't worry.
At least probably more like, I'm sure there's a couple like longer episodes. I'm sure it's more like 62 or 63 hours.
Yeah, no, probably more. They do weird things where like the episode before the finale will be really long sometimes, and then the finale is long, and because they got to wrap everything up, and then like the season finale last season was like a good hour 10, hour 20.
Yeah. So I mean, it's part of it's a lot to tackle, and I don't know, it just didn't grab me, and I love that type of stuff. I mean, it seems Lord of the Rings ish. I mean, fantasy type stuff. Like, I mean, that's stuff that I have enjoyed in the past and is kind of in my wheelhouse. But it just, for whatever reason, just never happened for me. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, the first episode, obviously, it being a pilot, lower budget, a lot of things weren't like. There's a couple things that changed from the pilot to the rest of the full production. Not in a casting sense, because I have seen that before on shows. In this case, just like some of the storylines and how it was presented. Just because, they do like focus group testings with those pilots, obviously. And then they show it to execs, and then they kind of give them the green light. But yeah, the first episode really didn't really grab me. Like I said last week, I was at a time where I was working a morning job and a night job. So my middle of my days, I had like 6 hours or even more actually, because the night job was like late at night. It was like 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock call time. And,
Were you a dancer, James?
I know I was a bouncer. This was post DJ world. I got into bouncing. I'll tell you what though, it was actually very fun. Most of the time, there was only like one or two bad nights. Like even when something terrible happened at the bar, if you weren't directly involved, you didn't really have to deal with it because by the time you got involved, either the person's been kicked out or multiple other bouncers are there. But with the times where you were like have to deal with something alone, like that's where it's like, oh jeez. Like I had to escort a gentleman out, and he was resistant. Shirt, my buttons are getting ripped, and it was dramatic though. A lot of people.
I've apologized for that.
It was dramatic, but anyway, but yeah. So I had 5-6 hours plus in the middle of the day, and I would just go to town. And that's what I was saying. You said you have 60 hours. I was gonna say, if you get into it, you'll burn through them. You'll be burning through episodes. But
I think I need to take the approach, and I heard this. It was after I had watched The Wire, but I heard this advice, and it made a lot of sense because I struggled just a little with The Wire at the beginning, but I really wanted to watch it, so I sort of powered through because there was so much like Game of Thrones. There's a lot of extraneous detail and trying to figure out characters and backstory and processes and different things. And I heard someone talking about it and said, anybody who starts to watch The Wire, what I tell them is, don't worry if you don't understand what's going on. Just watch the first 3 or 4 episodes and stick with it, and you'll be fine and you'll love it. And I think that's the approach I have to take with Game of Thrones. Is I just need to sit down and just bang out 3 or 4 episodes, and I think then I'll be fine and I'll be into it. But expecting to love the show after the first episode, it's just probably was not a realistic expectation on my part.
Wait, so are you going for this?
I'm thinking strongly about it.
Wow, this is a big move, man. This is big. I mean, personally for you, not like it doesn't in the grand scheme of things, obviously.
Oh, I disagree. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's also very big. I think I'm the one person that doesn't watch the show.
I'm trying to think of people I know that I talk to regularly that don't watch it, and I don't have any definites. Like everybody at work, it's just and that's
the fact that you still take my calls, knowing that I don't watch Game of Thrones, I got to give you credit, man.
But that's the thing, yeah. You do get demonized for it. It's so weird, and I used to do that too when I really was into it. But like I said last week, or maybe I said it before, I'm not watching this season. So I'm not even it's just, and that's why I was saying you're getting into it. I was asking if you're getting into it because it is good, and that's actually one of the reasons why I'm so upset about this season is that last season was a good. They're all good seasons. There's no bad seasons, but I was just so exhausted by the end of it and had watched it week to week because I'd caught up for at least 2 seasons at that point, or 2 1/4 seasons. I think that one of the seasons I was caught up to all my roommates, and then we just we watched together. And that was 3 years ago. Holy cow! But it's too much. That's the thing when you binge on a show like that. having to wait week to week, that to me, I shot myself in the foot because I fell in love with it binging. I never really liked it week to week. Like week to week, it was always done well. The acting on that show is unbelievable. I mean, and some of those people are really, some of them are already established, but some of them are now going on to become movie stars, not just the television. Well, it's a big TV show, but that jump for a lot of people is difficult sometimes to do it regularly and in big roles. And so the show's huge, and it's done so well. But I just am not doing it. Especially with getting ready for soccer. Soccer will be a month into the season. So with like 3 or 4 episodes left, soccer will be in full swing. So that's already that's my weekends. And
don't you mean full kick?
Ooh. Why was I thinking about the movie Ladybugs the other day? That's a good movie.
It's not, but I support you.
You don't think Ladybugs? Okay, I'm gonna paint a picture for you here. All right. It's you're at a lake house, okay, with friends or potentially family, but it's a laid back time on the water. You kind of come on in after everyone's hanging out. Some people playing cards, people drinking, people playing some game on the iPad, and they got the TV on, and it's you're at a lake house. You don't have satellite or a lot of channels. You just have basic cable, if that. And Ladybugs is on. Tell me you're not into it.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. I'm pretty sure the first time I ever saw Ladybugs was in that situation, but it was in the mid 1990s, so no iPads, but the same theory applies.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was at like a not a church function, but a function at someone's house from church. There's a lot of people there, a lot of kids, and so they put on a kids movie, and so of course they put on Ladybug. That's like, that's gonna cover all your bases. And I was like, this movie's awesome, and not just because it was a soccer movie, but this is what I'm saying. If you're in that scenario right now, okay, 2 weeks from now, you're in that scenario, you're watching Ladybugs.
Can you name the main kid in the movie?
I cannot. No, I cannot. I cannot do that in an open session.
Other than, Rodney Dangerfield is probably the only real star in the whole movie.
Yeah. Kind of towards the Twilight, not even the Twilight, past Twilight for him. Also, yeah. Disney cheesy soccer movies. Shout out to the Big Green, Steve Guttenberg.
The Big Green, yeah, that was like Ladybugs too. I forgot Jackie Harry. I forgot Jackie Harry was in Ladybugs. The mom from Sister.
Now IMDb pulling it up. Steve Guttenberg, people. Anyway, so getting back to Game of Thrones, are we the first podcast to ever segue from Game of Thrones to Ladybugs? I can't.
Listen. Say what you want about this show, and God knows people don't. We have some range. We're like Steph Curry in warm-ups out here. We're all over the place.
Ladybugs. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to listen to the show to figure out how we got from A to B there. Jonathan, oh my God, I need to close this IMDb page. Jonathan Brandis. Dude, Let me tell you what Jonathan Brandis was in, and I knew this even before I opened
Never-Ending Story?
Yes. Sequest, bro. Sequest. Did you mess with Sequest?
No.
Oh. And I also just said, did you mess with Sequest?
Yeah.
Sequest on NBC in the mid-90s was a banger show, bro. In fact, that's going on I got my weekends to myself now that soccer's over. I
don't even remember hearing about that show. What is Sequest?
Man. Sequest was a science fiction adventure show. I'm not even reading this from IMDb. This is me doing this now. It was
Roy Scheider.
Yes, he was underwater again or in water again. It was a science fiction fantasy show where essentially, if I recall the plot correctly, in the intro, I know the intro, they said, we conquered the earth and we conquered space, and all that was left was to conquer the sea. And I think they were in a scenario where there had been some doomsday event, much like The Last Ship on TNT. And they basically only, no. They could go above water, because that was actually a plot in season 2 or 3 where they found this like others type island, like Lost. I guess everything just borrows from each other in TV. And but it was all based on a very high tech submarine that was kind of like it was just Star Trek underwater. I probably should have just gone with that. And
it would have been a lot faster, yes.
And it was, I mean, I was a sci-fi nerd when I still am, but I was a real sci-fi geek at that point. And I remember it was on a Sunday nights, and oh man, it was just an incredible show. But anyway, that's Jonathan Brandis for you. That's again, don't know how we got there. Oh yeah, because we were talking about ladybugs. And how do we get started talking about ladybugs? Nobody knows.
We talked about Game of Thrones,
and
it's a tale. It's a tale as old as time.
So anyway, I'm actually going to I think that you've made up your mind, but I'm going to advise against it, and I'm going to advise against it for a couple of reasons. The first being,
you're trying to talk me out of binging Game of Thrones.
I'm trying to talk you out of it, because I was an addict. Okay, I was there. Let me not make light of that. Okay, I was a binge person for Game of Thrones, and I don't know. I mean, I had the time. I could have been doing other stuff. I was still doing other stuff. I was also coaching at the time, so I was essentially working 3 different income-producing things. None of them were full time, and I don't know, man. I'm taking a stand against binging it, because I don't think, and this is going to come back to haunt me, but I don't think it's entirely necessary, because I just did a season of Orange is the New Black, the most recent season, and it hooked me. I didn't like it that much, but it hooked me, and I was just thinking to myself, I just don't want to be doing this anymore. Like, so when I see that, and again, Orange is the New Black, they're 50-minute episodes to an hour-ish, because it's on Netflix. So, and it's 13 episodes a season, and it's one season. So like I can bang it out, and I had like a weekend where I didn't coach, and I had a couple nights, after work where I was like, I'll pop in an episode or two. And, I was like, all right, I'm done with that. That's over. I got that out of the way. But like, you're about to embark on a you can't like do it halfway. Like, okay, here's a great example. I would be really tired after work, because I would work morning, binge, and do whatever during the day, or, whatever try to find a job, and then work nights, and then I'd sometimes come back and try to peep an episode and fall asleep like 30 minutes in, and then I got to get that 30 minutes back. I'm going to start from the beginning, because when you're falling asleep, you're not really taking everything in. So you're about to embark on a journey where you have to be sharp. You've got to be, and your friend is right about The Wire, but I would say a little bit, the thing I did enjoy about The Wire is that the narratives were all over the place. Like, they had different stories, they're all connected, but they all kind of explained each other. The thing about Game of Thrones, which is why it's so popular, and then why I kind of doubled down on it, and then I pulled away, is that there's so much fan lore. I mean, if the show like The Wire came out now, the internet would be like House of Cards, but I think even more intense, because House of Cards is actually pretty straightforward, almost to the point where it's kind of satirical. Not seem satirical, it's kind of a caricature now. Maybe that's always been the case, but it used to feel like a political drama. Now it feels like, what are you people doing? It's just over the top. Like, there's and you're not a Cardsy, are you?
I bailed season 2. It was just a little too dark.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was sort of like a bad time. It was like intense stuff going on at work and outside of work, and I was like, all right, I don't need like more stress and bad feelings when I come home and watch something. I need to do something a little lighter. So I kind of bailed on it and haven't really gone back.
Yeah, that's the right choice, and that's what I'm saying
It's
about
not that I didn't like it or enjoy it, but
right.
that felt like a series that maybe would have held up better long term with a more limited run.
You're telling me because I'm down thinking
Ho- I feel like Homeland was kind of the same thing. I never really got into that either, but from what I've heard, is like it's one of those that starts out with the bang, and then like, oh shit, what do we do now?
Bro, we're an hour and 10 minutes into this podcast, and by bringing up Homeland, you just extended this thing by 3 hours. Because
Well,
I will
I'm not going to know
go,
anything you're talking about, so
I will go off on Homeland, man. Because dude, the first season of Homeland, I remember this vividly because I was living with three very, very cool people, and we were all pretty close. And me and one of my roommates, Mary, we were both got into Homeland at the same time, or I think I got into it after her, but she wasn't caught up. Like she still had some binging she could do. So it's the only time, a couple times with House of Cards, obviously, with how crazy that show got. But it's like the only time where I was like, I'm yelling at the TV, but I'm not doing it for like comedic effect. I'm actually yelling at you, like, get out of that room, get out now. You better, bitch, you better run. Like I am like, it's just the first season, holy cow. Even season two, because season 1 and 2 blended together. They're like later on in the show, they start having these like 6-month year gaps in between seasons, and it's just like But season 1 and 2, but yeah, you're exactly right. It got to a point. Season
seems like 24 in that sense.
I never watched 24.
Oh, the first couple seasons of 24 were wonderful.
Is
I
it,
really enjoyed them.
See, I can never do it. I've watched full episodes. I love that production style, and the subject matter to me is always interesting. That's why I loved Homeland. The kind of the counterterrorism and the political side of it.
Yeah,
But
it's weird. It's weird. I think like the more intense a show is, the shorter kind of shelf life it has for stuff like that. Like Law and Order's been on for what, 50 years at this point? And while there are like tense moments, I mean, it's a procedural thing. The beats are the same in every episode. It is what it is. There's maybe a little other side character drama outside of whatever the cases are that flows through a season or a couple seasons, but you generally know exactly what you're going to get every time.
yeah,
Whereas with like a House of Cards or a Homeland or a 24 or something that's so crazy, it starts out and it's so intense and it's breakneck, plot, emotion, character, everything comes together. And then after like 2, 3 seasons, it's like, okay, well, what's left? Where
right.
else can we go? It has to deviate so far, just by necessity from what the initial show was or plot or characters to keep it fresh and interesting that it becomes kind of a different show. So honestly, I'm more intrigued by shows like that do, and it didn't work out successfully, but like a True Detective, where it's like, okay, instead of season 2 with McConaughey, where it's new cast, new location, new everything, and we're just going to totally switch it up. To me, that feels like the move now, especially as people binge, and it becomes more of I'm going to watch this show in a weekend or in a couple week period. That it's so much easier to get burned out on it if you don't kind of reboot and you try to take the typical progression route that shows used to take.
Did you watch season 2 of True Detective?
I did.
Oh my god. I, I,
I still want one of those crow heads. As creepy as that was.
oh my god. That was just such a maddening experience. And not, because season 1, I was like, oh boy, am I prepared for this? I don't know if I can do this. Come on, finale. Like, I was like very tense. I remember it was with a girl I was dating when I watched the finale of season 2. And I was being such a little diva, and we went out to dinner and we had a nice little time. and you know, I
What'd
kind
you
of.
order?
I don't even remember where we went, actually.
Sounds like a great meal.
I just remember it was good. I just the food was good. All right, I'm gonna think about it. Now you're gonna remember, dude. You make me sound like
No,
I'm.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
no, I'm thinking about it, not now. I'm gonna think about it later on, and you know, we'll bring it up on the show. But all I'm saying is, I like casually dropped that I would kind of want to watch it, and I understood if she didn't want to because she didn't watch the show, and so we watched it at her place because she had like she was like a real grown up with like all the channels paid for and stuff, and even the like you can watch it. You can start it late. If it starts at 9, you can get home at 9:30, and you can watch from the beginning without even
Yeah.
DVRing it. Without even DVRing it, you know that's like grown up stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is I always
And why didn't you marry this girl, James?
yeah
Not to bring personal things in the middle of our True
that
Detective conversation.
this was, let me see, it was less than 2 weeks before I moved to Miami. So shout out to her for even indulging hanging out with me, let alone watching
Well,
the finale.
you could have said that anyway.
I'm not even. I can't remember where we went to dinner. You know, I'm over here making her watch shows she doesn't like. I'm being myself. But we watched the show at her place, and I remember apologizing to her. I was like, I'm really sorry. I didn't even think that was going to be. That was unwatchable, and I knew what was going on. I can't even imagine for you that had no idea what was going on there. Good grief, that finale. I mean, it's like, why even have a finale? You try to button everything up, and then that stupid scene at the end with she's writing the letter or the news article and the baby and get out of here with that, man. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, so the reason why I'm advising you against Thrones is I don't want you to go through what I'm going through now, where have a conflict. Should I watch? Should I not? Because you're going to get to a point where you have to do it. I guess not. If you catch up, by the time you catch up, maybe it'll be the end of season 7, and you could, I guess, binge that at the same time. Maybe that's what I should have done. Because, yeah, at this point now, I'm not going to peep it until the series is over. And they have, I think they said at least season 8, but maybe even 9. I think it's just 8. I can't remember. But that's the only way I'm doing it. I'm going to do it the way I'm going out is the way I came in. Like, I'm just not even gonna. No, I can't do it, man. No.
Well, let me ask you. We've talked a lot about binging shows.
Yes.
What's the best binging experience you've ever had?
Ooh. The Wire was the genesis of binging, I think, for a lot of people, because it was so underappreciated when it was on that it became a hit when it was on DVD, and everyone's like, yo, dude, you got to peep the show. I still remember, like, at my place in college, off of MLK, popping those CDs into the PlayStation, like, let's go, dude. We got to, or downloading, which I didn't download The Wire, but I'll say this much. Whew, I got 3 for you. Maybe even 4, but I just want, because these are all good, like, little interesting snippets. Because I actually, before The Wire, did Entourage on a pretty serious binge, because I was like 4 seasons behind. And Entourage on a binge is really, really good. And I remember at that point I was thinking about moving.
You could just crank those out, like the half hours. Oh.
And I remember the time I was going to go live in LA. That was my idea after college. I'm going to move to LA, right? Thank God I didn't do that. And I was like, yeah, this LA looks cool, man. I mean, obviously, it's, who knows how much. It's just, that show it was very well put together. So I did that before I did The Wire. And The Wire was pretty good. That probably is tops. And then another one, ooh, wow. I forgot about Lost. Because remember...
Lost is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
I watched all of season 1, and one of my roommates, shout out to Brian Dean, by the way, had recorded on, well, this is like 2000, 06.
Yeah.
This is like January of 06. So it was like halfway through season 2 of Lost. So he had recorded onto DVD, like off air, like as they played, all like the first 9 or 10 episodes of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched like 34 episodes of Lost in about 3 days.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had
It,
yeah.
maybe even like it was like over. It was like over winter break. I can't come back a couple days early. I had enough of my family. I needed some rich time.
Yeah.
So I'm just hanging out in the basement of our house, just like, all right, I'll do one. It'd be like 11:30 or midnight. All right, I'm gonna do one more, and then it'd be like 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd be like, what the hell just happened?
Bro,
And I
yeah.
just plowed through. That's probably one for me. And then I watched all of Stranger Things in one day.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'm
So that
strange.
was like just like a really long like eight episodes is like perfect for that.
See, Lost, season 2 of Lost is an unbelievable TV season. Like that was Abrams, Lindelof, the other guy, just on fire.
Well, it was they had like they ran into that slow period early because they were still figuring out what the hell they were doing with the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like hanging in the cages. Or is that season no, or is that season 3?
No, 3 is when they actually, yeah, because that's when he shows them the tape of the Boston Red Sox winning the World Series.
Okay. So it was 3 when they were kind of figuring that out. 2 was still that's right because they found the tailies.
And they found the hatch in season 2.
Or they got in.
They
You
didn't
mean you
they,
mean
they didn't
you
find it
mean
in
you mean
season 1, did they?
yeah they did, yeah.
Oh.
Because season 1 ends with the light coming on.
Oh.
And they
God.
open it and they open it up and you see that shot of Locke looking down the hatch and then boom.
Oh, that was dude. That was a summer. I was in summer school, and for some reason, I feel like you might have been around. Maybe not in summer school, but like at this point, you're living off campus. So was I, but I was in summer school, and yeah, my roommate. Well, not really my roommate. We had 2 apartments next to each other, but we had 3 guys living in each
Is this the
apartment.
Glenn Lennox days?
No, this is not Glenn Lennox. Glenn Lennox was just me and one other roommate. This was, oh God, what's the name of that apartment complex? I'm looking it up, dude. This is killing me. But anyway, I was living there. I'm on Google Maps right now. Do you
Was that
remember?
like the one where like Ahmed lived?
Yeah,
And
yeah. What was that one called?
oh, I don't remember.
It
It was
was
right
right
there off of
Townhouse.
it was near Townhouse, but that wasn't it. It was across the street and down that road.
Yeah. Uh,
So any of you listening with advanced knowledge of Chapel Hill apartment complexes in the mid 2000s, please feel free to call into our hotline. 1-800 pick a new topic is the number.
Oh God, I found it. I found Townhouse. Okay, so it's only a matter of time. Anyway, let me stop. No, but I was living there, and yeah, I got so into it. I was watching it late at night, and then one time, I was just kind of, late at night, kind of wandering around, messing with my roommates, and they were like talking about maybe going out. So I was like, well, I kind of just like started dozing off on one of their beds because I was watching TV for so long, and I started spitting out theories about how to get off the island, and I was like super super serious about it. Like I was so delusional. I was like super. I was like, guys, what about this? What if? And I wasn't drunk or anything. I was just delirious from staring at a screen for that long. I was like, guys, what if we? And I started like, what if we get the boat and this and that? I mean, it just completely captivated me. But that was a pretty good one. But I'd say in terms of being riveted, Lost probably takes the cake. Not House of Cards. The Wire was just so well done. It was like really like a work of art, and it never dropped off for me. That's one thing I will say about The Wire is that I'm sure if it came out now, people would find flaws in it and, this character is not developed enough, but it was just so well done.
What's your favorite Wire season?
Ooh. See, season 1 to me redefined what TV was, like what TV could be. Because I never had HBO growing up. Never, not even like the free
Yeah,
preview.
I didn't either.
Like when you had the free preview week, like you didn't really you can't watch a whole season of a show. You don't really know what's going on. It's just like, oh, it's HBO. It's
Well,
like,
not then. Yeah.
yeah. And so, oh man, the political season with the guy that's also on House of Cards, I forget his name. He's an Irish guy, very, very talented actor. The white guy running for mayor, and he's like, I'm the wrong color, blah blah. That one was really good. He's just a phenomenal actor, but he pulled off that kind of two-faced, like what it takes to be a politician in a town like that, in a big town, in a big city, I should say, with a lot of issues, and he kind of like played that really well. But I also really loved the Union season where the
Docs.
Yeah, that one was really good too.
Season 2.
And the woman that was playing, she was, I guess, was she a state trooper? I don't know. She wasn't like a detective or anything. She was like in uniform. She's now gone on to become huge, but she was unbelievable in that. She was in Gone Baby Gone, or wait, which one is the one that Ben Affleck directed about kidnapping kids?
Gone Baby Gone.
Okay. I was getting it confused with $1 Million Baby, and I was like, those are two very different movies.
Very different movies.
But she was in Gone Baby Gone, and this is really interesting, pop thing that who knows if it's true. But apparently she was like so convincing in that movie. She got in her makeup and then like drove to the set or something, and they like wouldn't let her on the set. They were like, "You're just like a Boston townie. Like we're not letting you on here." She pulled it off so well. I'm like, she definitely did. But yeah, the Wire was but that season was great.
She was great on The Office also.
Yeah, the ability for her and Steve Carell to. I remember that scene where they're putting that chair together, and it's just like terrible to watch because his character doesn't know how to be around grown women. It's just like a very, very interesting dynamic. Like his character is a good-looking guy who has a decent job and a career, and he doesn't have any idea how to relate with women. So he starts talking in a Yoda voice, and she starts doing it, and I'm just like, this is so impossible to watch because it's so awkward, but it's so well done because it really is like showing you this is what he has to do to connect with someone who he's into. He has to kind of be a child, and it was just, oh God, they were great together. But yeah,
Amy Ryan is her name, by the way.
Amy Ryan. And also, while we're fact checking, Bolin Heights is the apartment complex that I was at there.
Thank you, Stat Boy. Thanks for getting those in.
We had a couple Rangers there, man. I'll tell you what. Oof.
I came out.
I know. Oh boy, that was. Oh man. Anyway, yeah. So the Wire has to take the cake. Top binge for you. You're saying Lost.
I'm saying Lost, but both shows have one person, at least one person in common.
The Wire and Lost.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, hold on. Just give me a second here. It's not even like on the tip of my tongue. So I'm like, how lost am I? Whoa! I got nothing.
Lance Reddick.
He's on The Wire?
Oh, yeah. I mean, was he on The Wire? He was Daniels.
Oh, I was getting that name confused.
Yeah, and then he was Matthew Abaddon on Lost.
Shout out to
great voice, Lance Reddick.
Yeah, he does. I've heard his voice on commercials, and he's actually done acting parts in commercials too. But
yeah. I loved Fringe, and he was great on Fringe too. That was a great show.
Oh, I never got into that.
That's a good one. You should. Speaking of binging, you should check that out,
dude. I at this point, after what I just put myself through with House of Cards, which was a freaking disaster, and Orange is the New Black, both the latest seasons of those shows. Again, Orange is the New Black, it was not terrible, but it just really kind of dragged for me. I'm on a little
Yeah.
hiatus here. I mean, I didn't even have Netflix. I only got it resubscribed to just watch those two shows because I know I could get it just for House of Cards, and then they're like, oh, by the way, Orange is the New Black is on. Oh, Master of None is back, and I was like, So Lance Reddick, shout out to his career. He's doing his thing. Stack that cheddar. Wow, you are IMDb. You're IMDb. You're writing a column. You're teaching a media studies class. I mean, you're a Renaissance man.
I'm very busy, and none of those things pay me a single dime. So you can be the judge of whether that's a smart career move or not.
This guy's just passionate. Don't even think that I've forgotten to try to remember what I had for dinner with Homegirl that night when season 2 finale of True Detective was on. Oh man! All right, I'm gonna have to just think on that one. Wow, really put me on the spot. It's a good thing we're not in contact with each other. Anyway, moving on. So, a couple of things we need to sew up here. I'm trying to bring something to the show that I like to call shout outs because I like to shout out to people. It's kind of
Love it.
In my nomenclature. Shout out to this person.
To it, shout out to you for the idea of doing shout outs.
Oh, is that your official shout out for today? Because that would be very meta.
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay, that's even more meta. I'm not exactly sure how.
I'm not either. I was trying to figure that out.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm sure some very postmodern person will be able to figure it out. Just not us, even though we're the ones creating it. That being said,
can meta be the new phrase that gets overused all the time?
Oh,
that people use incorrectly?
I feel like that. I feel like I'm late to doing that. I feel like that already happened. I saw it in what's that Anna Faris movie where she plays like
Anna Faris.
It's not like, Ferris.
Yeah, it is.
And then is it Anna? There's something weird in her name that
I think it's Anna.
Oh.
It's certainly not Faris. That I can assure you.
Okay.
It's Ferris like Bueller or Wheel. And I'm not sure if it's Anna like Kournikova or Anna like Anna. I'm trying to think of another Anna.
Oh my God. I'm looking it up. No, so there was that movie where she plays like a big time stoner. And she is having a high moment where she's baked and she's talking to herself and she says something like, what if I do this and this? That's so meta. And that movie came out maybe when we were still in college, maybe right after.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I mean the movie was funny. It was interesting.
Well, shout out to her for her a great cameo in Keanu from Anna Faris.
Is that movie good?
Yeah, you should watch it.
God, I'm way behind. I don't
highly recommend.
Highly recommend. We're getting a highly recommend from Smiley Face. Yeah, Smiley Face came out in 2007.
I've never heard of that movie.
That's the movie where she plays this really hopeless stoner. Oh yeah, okay, I see what happens here. All right, wow. Anyway, sorry, I sidetracked there. Okay, so that's not your official shout out. I'm gonna shout out to two people we talked about in the show earlier today that we went back and forth on them. I mean, we don't know how we feel, but they did bring about this new trend of dadvertising that you coined, and I have to shout out to LeVar Ball and DJ Khaled. I mean, this is not a new hustle, like you said. It's happened before, but shout out to those guys.
So all you're complaining, and then you give them a shout out.
I'm never gonna hate the player. Only gonna hate the game. Shout out to those guys for playing the game incredibly well. I'm very impressed. It does irritate me a little bit with both of them, but that's my shout out. I mean, maybe I'll be inspired further, but yeah, I just feel like it's a good way to wrap up the show. So I'm shouting out to those guys. And do you have a shout out over there? It sounds like you've got a shout out.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got a shout out.
And I was only saying that because you were not using the shout out to me as your official shout out. So I didn't know if you had something shout out.
No, I was torn between like a serious one and like a kind of funny one.
No, these can be multifaceted, and of course, you don't only have to do just one. But if you want to save them,
No. I'm gonna stick. This is not three bold statements. It's you get one shout out. It's like TRL. Okay, you only get the one shout out.
Oh,
I'm gonna give my shout out to Danny Ainge.
Woo! You just combined a bold statement and a shout out in one. Talk about meta. This dude's meta.
We're gonna bring it full circle and take it back to where we started with the NBA draft. Don't ever change, Danny. Every year it's Boston's gonna do this. They're gonna package this. They're gonna get this guy. They're gonna do that. I love that they haven't done it. I love stockpiling assets repeatedly. They're still good. There's no reason to push all their chips into the middle of the table. And I'm sure as soon as this airs, they're going to trade for Paul George and sign Gordon Hayward, and this will all go to waste. But I love that it's always like, this is the year, and then it's the same thing every time. They draft their guy and they keep building for the future, pick up another pick, and keep moving forward. I love it that you can't force those things to happen. It can't be like, well, it's been 2 years and we got a bunch of stuff. We got to trade it for somebody. Like, you got to make the right move. And I love that he's sticking to his plan. He's sticking to his guns, and he doesn't really care what anybody else says or thinks. And I love it. In a time where there's a lot of groupthink and there's a lot of GMs feel pressure and feel like they have to make some aggressive moves to win now. For a team that's close like that, I love that he's not doing that, and he's in a similar way to the Sixers. He's sticking to his process.
Richard Broussard Abernathy with the NBA GM shot. Is he a GM? And
oh yeah,
he's got to be more than a GM, right? He's got to be a GM.
I'm sure he has a fancier title than that, but yeah.
Because they are president of basketball operations and whatnot.
Yeah, or vice president. There's.
Oh right.
I'm not totally up to date with his LinkedIn page at the moment, so I don't know exactly what it is. But hey, if it's on LinkedIn, it's probably a lie. Am I right?
Oof. Still, don't even get me started on LinkedIn, bro.
That's a whole other thing.
Oh my goodness! But shout out to you for the shout out to Danny.
Now that's meta.
Because I like your analysis, and just to confirm, he is the general manager and president of basketball operations. So it doesn't have an own. I thought for some reason he had an ownership stake, but
nah.
Like I said, that wouldn't really make any sense. He's not like really like he's not made Boston kind of his, the Celtics his thing forever. It's going.
Well, he's been there a long time.
I mean, I meant like post career. It didn't seem like he was like sticking around.
Yeah, I mean, he coached for a while. He was in some different places, so it's not like he's been synonymous with that franchise. I think Magic has or had an ownership stake in the Lakers at one point. So
the what's that restaurant? This is really going back. Speaking of Chapel Hill, inside.
Is this where you went before you watched the finale of True Detective?
I'm like literally racking my brain. Like because I know other places that we ate at on different nights, and I know it wasn't one of them.
I'm gonna guess you went to Noodles and Company. That's my guess.
Oh my god. By the way, I don't know. They don't have those in Atlanta, and but shout out to those. I love a good Noodles and Company. Love the mac and cheese at Noodles and Company. Where do I begin? Where do I begin?
I was at a wedding recently for a coworker of mine, and his brothers were there doing they were like the best men, so they were doing their speech at the wedding.
Yeah.
And so there was a story about meeting their brother's now wife, and one of his brothers met her for the first time at a Noodles and Company, and he's telling the story. And he worked in the name of the restaurant like 5 times during the story. And so afterward, we're like, dude, are you getting a kickback? Are you getting like gift cards from Noodles and Company every time you say the name? So that's become like a running joke. So
Noodles and Company is so good, dude. Oh my
yeah.
god. Oh, but okay. No, I wasn't bringing up the restaurant that we went to.
Yeah.
I was trying to bring up. It's in South Point Mall. It's like a huge sports place. I don't want to say Champs because
Oh,
Champs.
Firebirds?
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It was like a really nice. I went there like in like wintertime, like sophomore junior year with the Godfather Joe Hafera and a couple other people, and it was during Duke was about to play UNC. So we're hanging out. We're just doing our thing. We're like kind of getting checks, but some people are still at the table. I don't know if they're working out change or whatever. So we're near the host area where the hostesses are. And Johnny Dawkins comes in, and he's just like, it's Durham, North Carolina. It's Johnny Dawkins, and he's still coaching there at the time. So he's just talking to everybody. I'm shaking hands with him. Very nice guy. Then Danny Ainge walks in. And so we're like, oh, they must be here meeting, talking about players. So I meant me. I'm a guy that grew up in Worcester, Mass. And I'm just freaking. I'm like, Mr. Age, Mr. Age. And he is not having any of it. And then he finally turns to me and like shakes my hand. And he's so over it. And I'm like, dude, it's not like you're being mobbed. I mean, I am screaming your name a lot. But, it's not like other people know who you are relatively. But it was...
Was this before or after he drafted Joe Forte?
Oh my God. I think I've said this story on the show before, but
I guess it had to be after. He was what?
Yeah, it was Joe Forte's. Yeah, it was a minute ago. But I worked at the UNC basketball camp for a week one summer, a week that lasted a summer. It was incredibly difficult. It was the basketball camps. I follow a really funny account on Twitter, Assistant Coach Problems. Assistant Coach Probs is the handle, and it's mainly about college basketball. How coaching college basketball is not very glamorous for most people, and oh gosh, I completely lost my train of thought. But anyway, yeah, I'm working this camp, and that was how you got to be like a manager and maybe one day get into coaching is you got to work the camps. So I'm working the camp, and the last day of camp that I'm there, because I'm kind of like, I'm going back to my other job. I don't want to do this. Where they get pizza for everybody, and I think even for the kids. We're in the dorm. We're in, what's that bougie dorm off campus?
I just totally blanked. I could have told you.
God, what is it?
University Towers.
No, it's like
Was that the name of it?
No, it's the one that's right by Timeout. That's
Yeah. Oh God.
It was like something tower, but it was like an off-campus dorm. And anyway, they get pizza for us, and we're eating there, and they always bring back former players. And so Joe Forte had been there that day doing some camp stuff with the kids and autographs and all that. But then he like came into the office and was like eating pizza with us. And we were all freaked out because none of the like current or former players really even like talked to us. Because, we're like little minions running around yelling at kids and picking up empty Gatorade bottles. That's like what we did all week. Among a lot of other things, actually. It's actually a very intensive week.
Granville Towers.
Granville. Good grief. So, he's in there eating pizza with us. And, like, I know it's, like, kind of become a meme how, like, he was, like, top of the world and, like, kind of dropped off. But, like, that meme in that moment was, like, real life in front of you. Because like this was a guy that had been in the NBA and like done all this stuff, and like we'd heard like rumors that he was like broke and this and that, and then he's just like chowing down on pizza in the staff little office, which is really just like a dorm room that has been repurposed as an office. But that guy, he went to the Celtics. You're right. But yeah, man, Danny Ainge, dude, wasn't really feeling the Worcester love, man. But no, you're right. Shout out to him, despite him sort of snubbing me at South Point Mall over 10 years ago. Shout out to him
at Champs.
I believe it was Champs. The Champs there, South Point Mall. Did you ever peruse the halls of old South Point when we were in school?
Oh yeah, and I continue to this day. It's 25 minutes from my mom's house, so I go there on occasion.
South Point is gangster. I like South Point.
Especially now that there's a Rise right near South Point.
There's a what?
Rise biscuits and donuts.
I've never been there. Is it good?
Oh, dude, you got to go.
Is it a new thing? I've never even heard of that.
No, it's been around for a while now.
Do you think Sunrise Biscuit Kitchen was overrated in Chapel Hill?
No.
Whoa! I
would still make the further drive to down 15501 to Durham for Bojangles if given the option.
Ooh. That was
I think the only restaurant in the nation that doesn't accept a debit or credit card and forces you to use the ATM in the lobby. There's nothing like, seeing a bunch of hungover college kids at 11 a.m. on a Saturday trying to get cash out of an ATM to get some Cajun fillets and Bo-Berries.
You couldn't use your credit card there?
No, you had to have cash.
I don't remember that. Although I will say in college, I carried cash a lot. I don't know what happened. I never have cash on me now.
It was a different time.
Yeah,
the only time I have cash on me now is if somebody pays me back for something or I'm gambling.
I was going to say, like, the last time I remember having a ton of cash on me on purpose was Vegas, just because it's just convenient. And you can't pay for everything you can't pay for blackjack with a credit card, or a debit card for that matter.
Listen, a debit card didn't get you 3 songs in the back room, okay?
Do you guys take American Express? Freaking kidding me. Oh my god.
It's everywhere I want to be.
Oh boy. Not that we are Adam Carolla or anything, but I had to really stop myself from getting into a story about that at a evening establishment where I was like, well, that was fun. All I got's credit card, and it like just cost like this whole like logistical snafu.
An international incident.
It's just like I remember the employee was like, "Oh man, they're gonna make you do the most now that you have a credit card," and they did. I had to sign paperwork. I had to provide. I almost want to say that they asked for 2 forms of ID, and for some reason I had 2 forms of ID because I never have anything more than my license. But I think it was because I was in a transition period in my life, so I had a lot of documents on me just in case, didn't know where I was going to be at any period, and signed paperwork. There was photocopies, obviously. There was, and this is, by the way, just throwing this at you. This is for under $100. So I wasn't going there and like, I'm serious. It was, in fact, I remember exactly, it was $96. And I think that's with the tip. So, I don't know. Anyway, so I had to sign paperwork. There was photocopies.
This sounds like a 30 for 30.
It was insane. And the last little bit, and I've never done this before, like I did, so, for financial transactions, I had to fingerprint with ink what I had signed. And then they photocopied that. It was for $96. And she was like, she even told me, she's like, they're going to make you do the most now that you have a, I was like, well, I don't care.
Well, most places have like an ATM or something.
As I recall, it obviously had one because I used it for like cash to get in the door. But for some reason, it was probably just my financial situation. This is when I was in Miami, where it was like day to day life. It was like, all right, what's food today? $2, $3? All right, we're good. We made it. Like it was very, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't trade that experience for anything. It was just, very dicey. But yeah, yeah, you gotta have. Yeah, I remember back in the day, I used to have cash with me all the time, and now it's like now it's not even that I don't carry cash. Like you said, sometimes somebody just runs in, he's like, "Oh, here's that $40, whatever," and then I'm like, I want to get it out of my pocket as soon as possible. I don't even know what to do with cash in my pocket. It's really strange. And another one that I do is I'll actually have cash for whatever reason because someone paying me back, blah blah blah. And I'll forget that I have it and still use my debit card when I'm going places for like a $2, like getting coffee, which is like perfect if you have like a $10 bill in your pocket.
Yeah.
I don't know. But all that to say,
you're such a millennial, James.
You're telling me.
That's the current meta. Is like everything just has to do with it. Like no matter what the problem is, reaction situation, somehow there's a way to work millennial into it. I love to do it as much as possible.
There was a great Reddit meme about that where it was like a amalgamation of all these Twitter posts. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, great word, amalgamation. Nicely done.
Oh, I'm just standing in front of my thesaurus right now.
I'm glad you're using that word of the day calendar that I got you.
This is the only way I can keep up with you on the show. It's Richard Bruce Carlissimo Abernathy over here.
Roger's, please.
So, the frickin' this Twitter post, it was like all the things, all these article headlines that were like, millennials have killed TV, millennials have killed this, millennials have destroyed fast food restaurants, millennials have destroyed retail is the new one. They're like, they're only shopping online. Like, that's not just a millennial thing. That's everybody. Nobody wants to shop. Nobody wants to shop. It's a complete no. Everyone's shopping online. Retail has been dead for a minute.
What's more dead, retail or newspapers?
Ooh, this guy is over here shooting out topics.
Trick question. Newspaper stance.
Newspaper stance. Yeah, that's something you won't see. In New York, you'll see magazine ones, but they're not selling the Times. They're going, and it's like very niche magazines too. It's like random stuff. Ooh, newspapers or retail. Almost got to go with retail there. All these closings you keep hearing about and these mergers. I don't know, man.
That's scary. Well, I heard an unbelievable stat, and I think I'm getting this right, that I think more than 50 cents of every dollar spent online goes to Amazon.
Well, because they have all the affiliate networks set up so that people are selling from Amazon even if they're not actually on Amazon.
Right.
It's genius. And now...
And they just bought Whole Foods.
And I got to say, something funny about that's not being talked about is that I saw a video a few months ago. No, I'm sorry. I saw it when I was on the beach in Miami. This was a long time ago. And it was talking about the store that's now open in San Francisco where you just walk in, you grab the stuff, you walk out, it charges your account. And the guy was saying, this is great technology. This is really cool. But you have to understand, Amazon is not just doing this to have stores. They don't want to have a million stores. They're an online retailer. They're not about that. So we talked about how Amazon, they built Amazon Web Services, which also coincidentally hosts most of the internet, with their floating servers and all that. Yeah. So they built Amazon Web Services so they could have a back end to all the stuff they were doing online. They were like, we can't keep using all these different tools. We need to make one tool where everything that we do with Amazon.com is run from here. And then they were like, wait a minute, we can sell this to other people. And so they started doing that. Now they're making billions a year on Amazon Web Services. And I'm a customer. I love it. It's a fantastic service. And now that's what they're saying with what I'm thinking with the buying Whole Foods is that they're actually going to use that as like a pilot to roll out these essentially automatic shopping stores across the country. So now they don't even have to build the stores. The stores are already there. They just had to buy them. And then they can just put in their technology. And then eventually other stores are going to buy that technology. And then Amazon's just going to run everything. And this is
It's
like,
crazy. It's crazy, dude. I saw. Have you ever heard of an Amazon locker?
yeah, we had one across from my old place in DC.
Yeah, there's one at a gas station right where I play basketball every week, and I'll stop there and grab a Gatorade, and it's. I mean, I know that their primary presence is online, but between the lockers, buying Whole Foods, they built a couple like distribution centers in various parts of the country.
Yeah.
Like they're getting into. It's an unconventional way to utilize brick and mortar, but they're getting more into that physical space, which is a little surprising. But obviously that's not they're not going to use it in the traditional way. That's more of a jumping off point for other ventures. It sounds like.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Jeff Bezos. I mean, he just it's such a
That
long
sounded like
game.
a shout out.
Oh, I will shout out to Bezos all day. Shout out to that guy. Dude, he's always playing this long game, and I think because everyone's saying, oh, they look at the stock and they say, oh, well, it's undervalued. They could be going higher, but they don't care about that. They're trying to literally run the world, not in a malicious way, but like they host most of the internet. Like Dropbox, their entire infrastructure for storage is built in Amazon. So you're not really storing something in Dropbox. You're storing it in Amazon. A lot of websites hosted there, obviously, and all the services that they provide for, I'm getting into the coding and development world, and, all the things you can do just with Amazon, just for fun, let alone for, business purposes. And that's something that they built for themselves, right? Like, they didn't even need to give it to anybody else, and they did, and they made making billions off of it. And so it's always like, how do we make this not, how do we think of like the 30,000 foot view, not just like we want to have a bunch of stores, we want to have an online store and then have brick and mortar, like they like got it all figured out. And he's a visionary. I mean, unbelievable. I'm over here trying to figure out how to get a podcast live on the air, and this guy, it's like, oh yeah, like we're just gonna like change the way you shop. Because at first it was like, oh, people don't shop online, and now I buy everything online. Like what do you think about this? Am I too bougie here? I'm all about that. Like, I could drive to the store and pick it up for cheaper at a Walmart, at whatever. I'm an Amazon Prime member, which is very affordable. And I'd rather just buy it there and get it within 2 days at the crib than venture out. Especially when it comes to anything with technology, obviously with books, but even things like I bought a lot of coaching equipment like that. Like you're not going to find me in a Dick's Sporting Goods like ever again. Like, but am I being too bougie here? I mean, I don't know.
I did that exact same thing 2 days ago, and it arrived at my work today.
Ooh, the work delivery. When I started getting things delivered to my office when I lived in Arlington, it's a game changer. You're like, I'm the king, right? Everyone serves me. It's coming right to my desk. I mean, what else do I need in life? This is perfect. Like, how do you beat that?
It was great. I needed the USB hub, and so rather than drive to Target or wherever and go buy one, I was like, you know what? For the same price or $1 cheaper, I'll wait 2 days to get it.
Ooh.
And just send it to my office. And then, of course, I grabbed like 2 or 3 other things I saw in the deals and have bought those too. So, I mean, I'm the perfect example of what they want.
Oh God, I mean,
like they have me hook, line, and sinker.
They got everything. So we're shouting out to Jeff Bezos. We're shouting out to Danny Ainge. We're shouting out to LeVar Ball. We're shouting out to DJ Khaled and his son. I guess we got to give him a shout out to. And Lonzo Ball, obviously. They're doing the hard work out there. Well,
I tell you what, I'll do one more, and then before we close the show out.
Okay.
I want to shout out to Joel Embiid. If you don't follow JoJo on Twitter, I mean, how can you not love Embiid?
I did not know he had an active Twitter presence
Oh,
or.
oh, there's some legendary stories of him throwing, like, usually in a humorous way, but throwing shade at people, giving shit to his teammates. Uh, uh, he posted a tweet on draft night that he wanted Ben Simmons to dunk so hard on Lonzo Ball that LeVar had to run on the court to defend his son. I mean, it's usually good natured, shit talk, but it's. I mean, he's absolutely hilarious, and some of his comments on like random Instagram posts and videos and things like are just legendary.
Wow, I actually just re-enabled access. Don't laugh. Access to Twitter in my on my office computer because I normally block social media at work because it's just I don't want to deal with that. And actually,
Such a dedicated employee.
it's not even that. That's the thing. I mean, that it is a distraction, like and you can get down a rabbit hole. And that was part of my motivation when I started there. But I've been there for over a year. I'm in a groove. I can. Not that they're hounding over our shoulders. I talked to them about that. They're like, we don't really care. But I just for the first like 6 months I was there, I was like, no, I'm gonna get in here. I'm gonna grind. But I just now that I have a lot more downtime at work because we changed around our structure, so it's not as much like it's not as hectic. And it's also a slower time of year too. We don't have as many customers calling in with issues. So I'm like, all right, put the Twitter back on and keep up with some technology stuff, some soccer stuff, sports. And so I'm gonna have to add him to my TweetDeck list here.
Check out JoJo.
Do you ever use TweetDeck?
I don't.
I'm a big fan. When I was on social media a lot when I was DJing, I was a big fan. But I'm gonna put him on a list. I'm gonna check him out. Interesting. That's okay. If he's getting a shout out from you, that must mean this must be worthy of a follow.
We're definitely worthy of a follow.
Okay. It's on my list. So we're shouting out to Joel Embiid. We're shouting out to. I almost said Danny Tanner for some reason. Where did that come from? We'll shout out to him anyway. We're shouting out to Danny Ainge. That's why I was getting confused. We're shouting out to DJ Khaled, his son. LeVar Ball, his son. Am I leaving anybody out?
I think that's everybody.
That is everybody. Shout out to my co-host, Richard Bruce Bisase Abernathy.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, you just inspired it with the Cameroonian basketball player. I just had to go. I had to go back to the motherland with your second middle name.
I like it.
So is that Cameroonian or is it Burkina Faso? I'll figure it out. Anyway, shout out to my co-host. Shout out to y'all for listening. The broadcast is available on YouTube or iTunes or on the podcast app. So we've got our bases covered. We are a real podcast now.
Well,
look, to be it, we have to think it. I'm going for it. We are thinking it. It is the real deal.
If you will it, dude, it is no dream.
So that being said, if you'd be so kind, we're gonna start pimping for reviews. We're gonna start pimping for reviews on the podcast app. Yeah, we're gonna start doing it.
Can I review? What can I post to say the white guy ruined it again?
This is like
that's my favorite YouTube comment ever. From those of you who don't know the story, we did the show in college and we posted a video and we did like a little takeoff on the Allen Iverson practice. And in the guy's defense, I probably did ruin it and it wasn't very funny. But it was fantastic. It was like the second or third comment. It was like, it was good until the white guy ruined it.
Oh my goodness. And I have to be honest, I laugh about it now, but this was the early days of YouTube being like a kind of a common thing where you would post videos and send people videos. And I remember being very upset when I saw that comment, because to me, I didn't realize the nature of internet commenters, because it's really just the same thing today. It's actually probably
But
even more of a
there,
difference today.
most internet commenters are like rational, normal people, though, right?
Oh, all of them are.
Like they have reasoned, non-racist takes typically.
Yeah, they're very thought out. They're respectful, and that's the thing. I didn't know. Because I mean, I'd been on some message boards for like DJing, and I'd seen trolls before. But I remember being like, because you had the same reaction you did now. You're like, well, yeah, we probably could have taken out this, and I remember being like, no, I am pissed. I think it's almost to the point where, I mean, I'm sure we addressed it on air, but where I wanted to like call that person out like on the air and be like, listen, come into my YouTube channel. Of course, that's like a big thing now, but can we just talk about how ahead of the game we were?
It was, imagine if Sports Nation had a $0 budget.
Wait a minute.
And one of the co-hosts came straight from a Mexican restaurant on Thursday nights to record the show.
Wait, you were coming from somewhere?
Oh no, it was like every Thursday night we would go to Monterey to eat, and I could only have one of the cheap big beers because I had to go do the show, and I had to drive there and remain some semblance of sobriety to come do the show.
Coming from there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a decent, not like every time, but that was a typical Thursday meal for me and my housemates. So we would go there and then be like, yeah, I got it. Because it wasn't that far from campus. So it was
right.
A quick little hop over. So we'd go there and then I'd come in and do the show. Well, I should take that back. I would come in, you would be ready to do the show, and then I would sidetrack you for a half hour with random YouTube videos, and then we would finally start the show. That was our pre-show tradition. Look, some people have like a production meeting and go over the rundown and make sure the graphics are built and handle things in what would generally be described as a professional manner. And we would just fly by the seat of our pants, and I would make you watch Grape Stomp 3 times before we went on air. And that's how we got ready. Listen, that was our process, James.
It worked. And by the way, I will say, you said that we had a $0 budget. I'm not trying to stir the pot here, but STV and The Word, we didn't have a $0 budget.
Well, we did after Ernie spent it all.
I don't even know why I even venture out there. Like, I know it's going to end up like...
And I would feel bad about that, but I'm pretty sure that is on an official record and is factually accurate somewhere, so I don't feel bad.
You embezzled money.
No, I didn't say. I said spent. I did not say embezzled. You said embezzled.
Oh my God, tomato. Oh gosh.
So that libel lawsuit's headed at you, not at me, buddy.
Oh please, let me not invite that into my life. I just love how I was the bad guy. I was the bad guy, and everybody was like, "How could you betray STV and talk about the money that was not being used and this and that?" And then like the guy that was like leading that charge gets busted for stealing money. I mean, are you kidding me with that?
And didn't he lead the coup against Frank?
Yeah. It was him and Doug Branson was like kind of in on it, but it was really Ernie. In fact, Doug wasn't in on the coup.
No, Doug wasn't in on it. He just helped try to make things happen afterwards.
Yeah.
He was like, well, somebody's got to be professional around here.
God, it was Lord of the Flies. I can't believe that place. Oh, anyway, well, enough. We've gone on enough about our experiences hosting this exact same program in college.
It's one of our finest segments.
That's it. Yeah, we're just gonna do a flashback segment every.
Our every episode of this podcast is like a Batman movie where you have to go back and talk about his parents dying and how he became Batman. Like, it doesn't matter how many movies you've done, you still have to like tell that same backstory over and over again. That's basically what we do.
I swear, Batman vs Superman. I think we've talked about in the show before. I was in that movie.
I didn't hate it as much as you.
Oh, so we have talked about it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to rehash that.
No, I mean it wasn't good, but I was not like I didn't have the strong reaction to it that you did.
Dude, I was dead sober, middle of the day on a weekend. Might not even have been a weekend. It might have been like, I think it might have been when I first got to Atlanta, so I had like a lot of free time during the first couple of weeks before I got a job. And I was like, this, I feel like I'm high. This movie can't be this. I thought it was atrocious. But, my movie takes on this show are very, I'm always like in left field because I mean, I get all this heat about The Force Awakens and I don't even want to.
So, you are like the I'm gonna start calling you the movie salmon because you love to swim upstream. Like you just go against the common prevailing opinion on just about every movie. It seems like
These movies are terrible. Do you really, what's the trailer that came out the other day?
you hated the new Star Wars trailer.
The trailer is an absolute joke. It is an
Yeah,
absolute joke.
I don't want to get we wasted an hour on that once before. We don't have to do it again. But
On the
I
trailer?
disagree. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back and find that because I haven't even begun to talk about the trailer. What? Oh wait, that might have been last week's show.
no, it was back in like the winter.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, the trailer came out in like February or something or March or it's been out for a little while.
It was. Uh, these movies are just. There was another trailer that came out recently where I was just like, "You guys got to be kidding me, dude!" And then,
Tell you what, I'm excited for Baby Driver. I don't know if you've seen that trailer.
oh, see, I'm excited to see that movie at the crib on a weekend, like in a few months. Definitely, it looks very entertaining. Now, and I like that idea. Look, I don't have a problem with taking things that have been done before and borrowing ideas and themes and even like plot lines to a certain degree or like the general plot line. But I just don't like the remaking of everything. So like to me, Baby Driver, I'm like, okay, it's a heist movie with a hotshot driver, a very outspoken black dude, the hot guy, the leader, John Hamm, and then a hot girl. And then there's going to be some nerd in there, I'm sure, that's like the tech guy. We've seen it before. I love it. So like I'm okay with that, because it's like, all right, we're taking an old idea, putting our spin on it. It kind of looks like very Guy Ritchie, very jump cuts, very hip hop editing, and I'm into that.
So what? It's Ocean's 11 meets Heat. Is that what you're saying?
Ooh. I would even throw in Ocean's 11. I would say Heat a little bit, but Heat's a little bit darker, and then like sprinkle in Fast and the Furious, the first like one or two of those. Maybe more Fast and the Furious 2, where it's like they're kind of, it's a little bit more like just about the heist, not about all the other stuff. It's like we got to get a job done.
See, I get a little more, maybe a little more Res Dogs feel.
Really? That's like super dark.
It's not dark.
Reservoir Dogs?
I mean, it's serious, but I mean, maybe it's just the dialogue, but there's some levity and there's some other stuff in there. I mean, it's a serious movie, but it's not like I don't consider it dark.
I don't know. I also saw that movie when I was way too young, like maybe 12. No, 13. No. Yeah, not older than 13. And like never really seen a movie like that before. Like
Yeah.
besides because I'd seen like a violent movie, like a slasher movie, but like that was like a graphic movie, like
Yeah.
with the ear and it was just like, come on.
Yeah. A buddy of mine got to go to a 20th anniversary screening a couple months ago, and then afterwards there was a panel with Tarantino, Buscemi, Keitel, and I believe Roth was the
Whoa.
fourth guy.
That's pretty intense.
So he loved it. He said it was fantastic. He said, in hindsight, I wish they hadn't shown the movie and they had just dedicated that much more time to the panel with everybody talking about it and telling stories.
Yeah, I'd much rather go to that. I mean, that movie, it's a good movie though. I mean, I've seen it since, obviously. But no, I think no, Baby Driver looks interesting. I am not turning a thumbs down at that idea concept at all. But when
You're
you try to,
you're pro Baby Driver.
I am pro BD. But when you throw a Star Wars trailer like they did, or the recent Alien movie, I went and saw that, and it's like, boy, oh, Alien is 0 for 2 in this decade. Tell you what, Ridley Scott, let's get it cracking, dude.
Dude,
Just
was that looked like the same movie as the Ryan Reynolds? Uh, what was
yeah,
the name of that movie?
with
You know
Jake
what I'm talking
Gyllenhaal. Yeah,
about?
it's called Life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Life. Yeah, it looked like the same movie almost.
Well, somebody said that the other day. They were like, if you instead of going to see Alien Covenant, just go see Life. It's the same concept, but just done a lot better. And but it just doesn't have a franchise behind it, so it probably didn't make as much or nearly as much money as Alien Covenant, because Alien Covenant's got that. And another big reason why people went to see Alien Covenant, myself included, even though I knew this, I was going to be disappointed, is because Prometheus was such a ridiculous bundle of crap all over the place. It was like
Yeah.
so much potential as a movie. And for the first act, it's kind of like, oh God, this is getting like, what the hell is going to happen? And then like you kind of get into it, it's like, oh Jesus Christ! And then the third act, you're like, oh what? Like this is just silly. So, but it left on a cliffhanger, and then all the promotional material made it seem like, okay, the movie that we want to see, which is what happens after Prometheus, and get questions as to why what happened on Prometheus happened. That's the movie that they were promoting. That is not the movie Alien Covenant is, not in a long shot. I don't care how many flashback sequences you have or exposition. It was just not that. But it made money. Got my money. So both Alien movies have gotten my money. So
Well,
great.
I saw some speculation that Life was somehow like a prequel or ran parallel or somehow tied into Prometheus.
No,
But I
that's
guess that's not the case.
not from a canonical standpoint. I mean,
God, canonical amalgamation. God, you are on fire tonight.
well, I have to admit, the only reason why I know about the word canonical is because I watch all these nerdy YouTube videos dissecting Star Wars and Alien Covenant and all this and how things got messed up or how they could do better. And that's a word that's thrown out there a lot, especially with Star Wars, where it's...
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know of any connection there, like the actual storylines. And I'm a little bit skeptical of that just because Alien is such a disaster as it is right now in terms of a direction that I don't even think they could handle trying to do something like that. I know that that's the big thing now in the Marvel movies is you kind of have these different universes intersecting, sometimes through time travel, sometimes just because of proximity and and plot convenience, but or really more franchise convenience. But
It's like TGIF when they would have Urkel on Full House or something.
those cross, dude, and think about how big of a deal that was, like to make that happen, and like just the promotion
Yeah.
of that. Like now, like even the new Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, they're saying they're going to do that, and
Wow.
based on what I know about how the Mummy ends, because I saw some spoilers, like they've baked that into the Mummy movie. Like they're trying to make a Marvel Mummy, even though it's a different studio, but like the same concept of like these superhero or bigger than life characters in this universe that just keeps grinding out movies. And it's just like, again, that's the thing that I can't stand because it's only done well so far with Marvel. Everybody else, it's like, and even Marvel, like some of the stuff, or no, not like with DC, I'm like, I don't want to see a Flash movie. I don't even really want to see Flash in a movie. I think the Flash TV show is stupid. I don't want to see Aquaman in the movie. Now, Wonder Woman's different. There's like a lot of history there. It's like a little bit more like this is like a very interesting time to have a Wonder Woman movie. And especially, again, look at how it was received and how much money it made. It's like more than a movie, which is very interesting. I think that's what's cool about film. But like, I don't want to see an Aquaman movie. I'll definitely see Wonder Woman, probably rent it, Redbox, but I'm not going to see an Aquaman movie. And then the Justice League movie? You talk about a trailer that's insulting to just life? Have you seen the Justice League trailer, dude? It is out of control.
I have not.
Oh God, watch it tonight after the show. It's you saw the trailer for what's the movie with Suicide Squad?
Right.
Unbelievable trailer. Just a trailer that is entertaining in and of itself, which it happens. It's not a rare thing, but this was a really well cut trailer. And then of course the movie. The funny thing about that is apparently, the executives see the trailer, a long time before the movie comes out, and the trailer for that was so good, and the executives were like, "Well, this isn't the movie that we made, so can we figure out a way to reshape the movie to fit the trailer?" So they go in there and they redo they do all these reshoots, and then that becomes the movie. I don't even know. Anyway, no, so I'm sorry. I'll carry on. I don't even know how to use this application. Going on with what I'll say about the Justice League movie is they did the exact same thing. They built this really cool trailer. They have this really awesome footage. The special effects are obviously going to be massive. It's a DC movie. They've got all the characters in there. They got all their funny lines, and Ben Affleck as Batman, which is just I am just still trying to figure that out. And now the Batman movie itself is he's not directing it. He was going to, and they couldn't get him a good script. But you look at that trailer, and it's just so. It's not everything needs to be made for 10-year-old boys or 15-year-old boys or whatever. And I look at that trailer, and I was like, okay, you cut a cool thing, you have funny jokes, but you're coming off of a Batman trilogy that was revolutionary. You don't need to make the Dark Knight trilogy again. We've already covered that territory. But I'm looking at Batman now, and it's it's just such a caricature. Even his costume, he's so big, and Ben Affleck's put on all that weight, muscle to play Batman, and
it was much more cartoony.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the thing is Zack Snyder was directing it, and that's kind of his thing. He's the X-Men and all that, and he had to leave because he had a family situation, and so then Joss Whedon from Marvel, or a couple Marvel movies coming over. But I just that trailer is just come on, dude, just cut me some slack. I don't know, but that's my deal with the movies. I'm just come on, y'all, give me something new. Alien. I'm rambling at this point, but we so shout out to original movie ideas or different movie ideas. That's what we got to do. Okay, bucket list. We got to get a word movie. The word the movie. I've got a great idea who we're going to cast. Well, we'll get that.
Who plays us?
No, I know we play us. We do Howard Stern.
I think we should do we make a cameo as other people that interact with us.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's also
the Starsky and Hutch move.
Yes. Yeah.
Where they show up at the end of the movie and see Stiller and Owen Wilson.
That also was in 21 Jump Street.
Oh.
The new ones, yeah. I think I've seen the second one half asleep. It wasn't that great, but the first 21 Jump Street with Jonah Hill and Tatum was very entertaining. I was very, very pleasantly surprised. Directed by, speaking of movies, the two guys who just got fired from the Han Solo solo movie. That's just a ridiculous phrase. Why would they? But anyway, the Han Solo movie is they fired the directors while they're still filming. Those guys directed 21 and 22 Jump Street. That's a whole big thing in the industry now. They had a couple weeks of filming left. But again, another movie that I don't need being made by Lucasfilm and Disney. All right, I have to stop talking about this because I'm just going to go on all night over here talking about movies I don't like.
Yeah. Well, we'll end with one thing. I know who would play you in the movie.
Oh gosh. I have no guesses.
John Boyega.
I swear, you know what he looks like? And I mean, not in the face. He has got a much better looking face. I mean, a bit similar structure, but he's a good looking guy. He looks like what I looked like senior year of high school when I had like a mini fro going on. Like I didn't really wear my hair very short in high school. Like I always kind of had a little bit of a puff going on. And that's kind of his thing. He doesn't really ever do the short hair thing. And he looks like my student ID from senior in high school. I mean, it is just like, and yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah. And if for some reason John is unavailable, Takeo Spikes will be playing the role of James Mandia.
My athlete lookalikes. That's got to be a whole segment on its own because they keep growing.
Yeah, there's a few.
I don't even want to get into it. Yeah. Okay. Well, we got some casting decisions made tonight. At least one. That's good. That's very good. Well, shout out to all of our listeners here. We've ended the show 3 times, which is kind of per usual for us. But we will be here.
I prefer to think of them as codas.
Ooh.
You think we're done, and then we just go back to something else, and we keep going.
I like it. That's been our thing for years now. And
listen, we're going to be us, for better or for worse. Usually worse, but occasionally for better.
At least it's it's an interesting train wreck to watch. Although I will say, again, a big milestone this week. 2nd week in a row doing a podcast and technically live stream on Spreaker, Spreaker.com. You can search for the word. You can subscribe there or subscribe on the podcast app or on the iTunes store. It's all free. So if there are podcasts you have to pay for, which I find very strange.
Not this one. At least not yet.
No, I don't. Yeah, I think we got a little bit of time before then. Anyway.
And listen, feel free to throw us a rating in the App Store. Even 1 stars are accepted. We currently have no stars, so 1 star is an improvement. Much like my Uber rating, just give it a star, and we can move on.
What's your? Have we discussed what your Uber rating is?
I have a good Uber rating.
What's your Uber rating?
It's close to 5.
Okay. I think I'm at a 4.89. I'm going to open the app to double check though.
And we'll talk. I don't want to end the show a 4th time, so I had a frustrating Uber experience recently.
Jeez.
So we can talk about that next show when we go 3 in a row.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's happening. Tuesdays you can catch us live on Spreaker, and eventually we will simulcast that onto YouTube. Actually, we'll just be simulcasting it everywhere. Why not? It's just streams from one place. You just share out the link. So we will get to that next Tuesday. Rich's frustrating Uber experience. But thank you all for joining us here on The Word 2 weeks in a row. I don't really know how to address that. But I can say this. For Richard Bruce Ripken Abernathy, I'm James Mundia. Thank you for joining us on The Word, and we'll catch you next time.